got the 2025 Surron LBXs in stock. This is the all-new color for 2025. This is the sage green. I like it. I dig it. It's got that military kind of color. It's a little bit different when we first saw the first green in 2018, 2019.
I like it better.
This is a different shade. You like it better?
Yeah, I like it better.
It's pretty cool. Nice new seat. And as well, of course, the rear tire, a legit dirt bike tire, an 18-inch.
The things that you're going to need if you're building this at home: 4mm on the throttle, a 4mm on the brake levers, a 4mm on the stem clamp, 4mm on the headlight bolts, and down below you'll have 3 bolts under the fork to put the fender on, which you're going to need again a 5mm Allen key. You'll also need an 8mm Allen key to undo the cap bolts on the axle. You'll see that the standing peg is not on this bike, so it goes on with a 14mm combination wrench or socket if you can get it in there, and you'll torque that down. That's one that I actually put Loctite on. So I'm going to take all these stem bolts out. I like using something that we have over here, which is a magnetic dish. So I got a little grease pump. We just put a little dab of grease. We don't have to fill these holes. Just wet the threads so that these bolts will come out in the future. Also allows you to torque them down more smoothly. And before we mount the bar, we got to mount a couple of accessories, or not accessories, but components on the bar. So I'm going to put the brake lever in now. If it's up here, you'll see you can't reach it. When it's loose, boom, you're in. Nice touch. And then finally the throttle. You're going to see the wires want to tangle up a little bit, so be thoughtful about the wire routing. You might take a couple of stabs at it, but I like the wires to flow nice and smooth so that they're not binding up on each other. And again, here we go. We're going to slip this throttle in. Done. That can mount into its perch. We'll put the stem cap on. I'm going to put it with the Surron logo facing from the front when you're looking at the front of the bike, aiming towards you. I'm just going to preset the bolts. When we bring the stem cap down, we want it equidistant spacing underneath the bolt plate. So we don't want to pinch it to one side and then tension it from the other. So right now I'm just walking these down gently. Where you put the bar is up to you. You know, you can Chicago it out wheelie style, or you can toboggan it back for short people doing Supermans. I'm going to put it in what I call the neutral position, where it's sort of good for everybody on the test drive. 5 Newton meters. If you guys have torque wrenches, you can go ahead and use that. I got a torque wrench built into my hand after 45 years of doing this stuff. When you're putting the throttle on, don't pull it down really hard, or else grip here will put traction on the bar and slow the throttle action down. You put it on, I'm going to just move it outward about a millimeter. I'll test it to make sure it's returning.
I'd also like to mention this throttle has been upgraded for 2025. It's a ride-by-wire dual Hall sensor for more control than previous years, apparently. So
now the lever I'd like to put in a natural position when you're sitting on the bar, that the lever should be below your fingertips. See how uncomfortable my hand is trying to reach for that? Get her tucked down there. Get her where it's like 2-finger grab, you got it. I'm going to grab the lever and see it's not even moving because it's touching the throttle body here, and there's a flat spot on the throttle body which allows clearance for that lever to move past. So here we are. I've rolled it, and there you go. Lever's moving. Now, because the other lever was not mounted yet, I'm going to mount that. So here on the lever clamp bolts, because I'm going to mount this to the bar without threading it through the bar, I'm taking the lever clamp perch, or the perch clamp off the back. And this is going to go sort of underneath your display area. And be mindful of the display wire. So here I am just sort of setting it up. There's another wire on the back side. I don't want to pinch that. All right, so there's the other levers in that sort of limp wrist position, which nobody likes. You'll see the display will roll around a bit. It's best to leave the display just loose enough to move, because on the event of a crash, it might be better if the display moves out of the way as opposed to breaking out of the way. You'll also be needing the 4mm to tighten the fork axle clamp bolts. So we're going to go to the fender installation now. So underneath the fork crown, right down underneath here, you got 3 bolts. So the top hat washers are going to go into the fender and gives it some stability. One screw that I'm also going to take out in advance is this one that's right on the front of the fork, just above the center of the fender. This one is going to be holding down the brand new number plate that came with it, which also retains your front brake cable. It's kind of a nice touch now. So normally I didn't put the number plate on because it was just a plastic thing that was more decorative. This thing is plastic, but it's rigid. It's like made like the fender, and it looks really stylish. Number plate, boom. You'll see on the number plate there's a little hook right here that's going to hook into this brake cable to keep the brake cable from flopping around like you're seeing here. It's going to keep it nice and parallel to the fork. So on the bottom of the number plate is a little hole that's going to go to that hole that I just put a tiny bit of grease into. And I got my Allen key, and this one's got to fit into like a tunnel kind of. So I'm going to pilot it through. There it is coming out, and I'm going to eyeball it into place. And this screw just sort of centers the number plate on it, keeps it from rattling and tattling around. And before, yeah, I can do this now. I'm going to keep the wires going in behind the number plate for style points. Then you got these reusable zip ties that have a little latch on them, kind of a nice touch. So I'm going to put this on here, wrap it around the hole that's provided on the number plate, and you can hear the sound. There it is. Remember, the cable should move freely. All right, number plate's on, and this cable's still loose. There's that little hook there. I'm just going to click it in. We're just about finished. So now we put on the front wheel. I'm going to loosen off the pinch bolts a tiny bit, just so that I can knock this axle out. All right, so I gave that axle a knock. You'll see one leg is dropped away. The axle is exposed here. Of course, this tool, I don't think I can use it. Oh, I can give it a bit more. So I'm just using a 10mm Allen key, pushing the axle all the way out. Now it doesn't want to go any further. This is where you might need some help. I often do this by myself. And I usually do it by putting the 8mm into that hole and turning it clockwise, wiggling it back and forth while I tug the axle out. There we go. She's off. Now we can put her on a stand. So when we put these in, there's a little O-ring that retains everything. It's just around the lip here. So they could be a tiny bit tricky to put on. So you'll see they're going to cover the bearing. They act as a bit of a seal, and of course, more importantly, a spacer to keep your wheel from going left and right. So I'm going to roll it in, put one edge in first, gently roll it in, give it a tiny twist, and then I'm going to inspect to make sure I don't see that O-ring protruding. And here it is sticking out a little bit. So just so I don't damage it, I'm going to reinsert it, give it a rotation, and she's underneath into place. There we go. On the other side, you're doing the same procedure. Look at it to make sure the O-ring's not coming out. She's good to go. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to stay that way, because when we go to put it into the bike, sometimes the fork will knock one of those cones off, and it'll change your mood pretty quick, especially if you do it several times. So this one leg, I can move it, right? The other leg is sprung, so it's very stiff to move. So that's why I put the brake side of the axle in first, so I can move this leg or raise this leg into position. I'm gonna move the axle so it's flush. I've turned the fork. You can see I can turn it around. I'm just giving it a bit of an angle so that that edge there doesn't knock the cone off the spacer cone off. I'm directing the brake rotor into the brake. And then we wiggle this guy in. Now it's got to get in on the other side. You can probably do it with the palm of your hand. If not, have yourself a plastic mallet handy. So you're going to see I'm going to push up on the fork. I'm going to knock it in. You heard it's touching something. It's not penetrating yet. There we go. I managed to do it with the palm of my hand. I'm going to put a tiny bit of grease on this threaded nut here because I like things to come undone in the future. Spin her down with your favorite 8mm wrench, and it's already, they both tighten against each other. You'll see the effort that I'm putting into tightening that. This just holds the wheel centered in the fork blades. The most important bolts are the 4 bolts that I'm going to do next. All right, we don't want to torque this too much because if you gall these threads, they may never come undone again, and then you're going to have all kinds of new language coming out. So those guys with heavy hands, be light on it. So these bolts are critical. Do not ever forget to do these. And don't answer the phone. Don't open another beer until this is ready. So as you can see, I'm just priming them, spinning them down so that they're bottomed out. Just let the wheel rotate. So this is the first stage. So I'm just giving them each a torquing till I hit the bottom. And these bolts are pretty critical. So this one you definitely want to have tightened properly. And again, you're going to see the effort I'm putting in. And again, these are going to be about 7 Newton meters roughly. And I do one and then the other because one will slacken the other one off. So you'll walk them back and forth. And I want to feel equal tension, or on your torque meter, you want to see that number come up as the same on both sides. I'm feeling good about that one. I'm going to do this one left-handed. So the inside one, outside one, you saw my elbow go up higher because it got slackened off. Then I'll give that a tiny bit more. Then I'll go to the inside one. You'll probably see this one's going to feel loose, or no, that actually felt good. So that's good. So now your front wheel is secure. These things hold your wheel on. If they come undone and the axle goes walking off this way, your next wheelie is going to be really cool. All right, guys. So some of you may not want to have this fender on. I call it the ugly fender. Sorry, Surron. But you guys probably want to remove it. It's actually really, really easy. So you need a 17mm combination wrench or socket. You're going to spin off this axle nut on the other side here. The chain tensioner holds this down through a hole. So I'm just going to remove the chain tensioner. Now you'll see there's a hole. We can undo it. And on the other side, it's a fork. So it slides out. Fork, hole, off. Now you guys are going to be all excited to put it back together. Put your chain tensioner back in the same way. If you're not sure which way, look at the other side. Make sure it's a mirror image of the other one. I'm going to push the wheel. You can see the axles moving back and forth. So I'm just going to get that into place, slide the axle out, and the nut's ready to go on. Except for one thing. The axle was designed with the length intended for this extra metal here. So should you put this nut on without putting a washer under it, you may find a tiny bit of play in time. So for you wheelie nuts, and also for your trail riders who might loop this thing out and flip it over, it's just one less thing to break off. This guy is a bike.
2025 Surron Light Bee X, baby. Here she is.
Needs a rider, well, needs a buyer, and then needs a rider.
Ready to rock and roll.